Hello class, and welcome to session 4. Before we begin our discussion on mission, vision, and values, I want to add something from one of your slides from session 3. It was the next to the last slide. I think it might have been slide number 7, when we talked about data collection methods and conducting your research. I want to add some things about the internal data collection because I did not spend enough time detailing the importance of exploring the internal issues, not just external. When we take a look at the internal issues during data collection, we need to take a look at what the organization is really good at. We call them their core competencies. These are things that really hold great value for your customers and that you're really good at delivering. So the first thing you want to do is identify your core competencies and make sure that you want to focus on, should you do more of this, less of this? Do you want to expand them? Do you want to do something, or do you want to do something different? So that's one of the issues in looking at the internal analysis. So number 1 is exploring your core competencies and defining them. Number 2 is looking at your financial position. What are the profits and losses? How's the cash flow? What's the balance sheet look like? Financial issues are very important since they will drive the development of your strategic plan and any action steps that occur. Then you want to take a look at, and this is number 3, organizational systems and processes. What's working and what's not? Do you have sufficient technology? And do people use it, or do they sit on people's desks? Now, this was an issue about 15 years ago when organizations became computerized and there weren't enough training programs to help people learn how to understand it. Organizations went through tremendous financial expenditures computerizing their organizations. Today, it's taken for granted. Employees know and understand how to use it. Help desks are generally available internally, or if not, these services are purchased externally. So you want to take a good look at technology. Is it current? Is it up to date? Are we using our software to drive our results? Do we know what programs we need? Can we afford them? You want to take a look at how well you're meeting customer demands. Is there a waiting list? Are people being served? Are they coming back for more services of the same, or are they coming back for more services that are different? And you want to take a look at the availability and the cost of supplies. I know many organizations continually switch vendors to get the best price. And lastly, you want to take a look at staff expertise and stability. What are the turnover rates? Are employees satisfied? Is there a succession plan? So these are all parts of the internal exploration during your data collection. Now, we're going to visit this more again under SWOT analysis. I believe that might be in session 6 and 7. But for now, that's just an overview for you to consider. So now I want to take a look at the content for session 4. We're going to discuss mission, vision, and values, and before we get into the detail of it, one of the most important things to explore and understand is the boundaries or mandates that are imposed on an organization from external sources, like funders, like current legislation. Are there some things that you can do and encouraged to do, or are there some things that you cannot do? We call these the musts or the must not do's. You need to understand what is possible. When I was a practicing social worker starting my career, I worked for an agency that had a mandate from the city of Philadelphia to deliver services to children who were neglected and abused, and they did that for about 75 or 80 years. And all of a sudden the state legislature came down and said, oh, wait a second, you should not be doing that. You're a private agency. The city should be doing that. So after 80 or 90 years doing one function, that organization could either go out of business or change its function. And if they were in the middle of a strategic plan, they needed to know what their boundaries were. Just as an aside, I think the city of Philadelphia now is revisiting that decision and now delegating back to organizations that child welfare function. So it's the old saying, what goes around comes around. Once you know your boundaries and your mandates, this can lead to the establishment and the direction of achieving your goals. So you know what's clear, you know what your boundaries are, and you can set your goals and reach to achieve them. Now, once you have these discussions, they do lead to the establishment of a mission statement. That's the immediate outcome. In the longer term, the creation of the mission statement really focuses all deliberations on what's truly important in an organization, and it clarifies the organization's purpose. In this way, the leadership then can focus on what's important, what's achievable, and then manage any kind of conflict that results as a result of the new direction. So that has to occur first. Now we're ready to talk about the mission, vision, and values. And a lot of this is described in your Bryson book, and I want you to refer to your glossary of key terms and expand on them wherever you need to be. Let's first take a look at the visioning statement. That's where most organizations begin. Visioning for the future. What is a visioning statement? It is written in future tense with big ideas. It is what an organization wants to become, and it's in the long term. It shapes the organization future and stretches the organization's capacity and image of itself. It should be inspirational, like the Martin Luther King "I Have a Dream" speech. Very inspirational. Very inspirational. One organization's vision was a world without poverty. In the sample that I've given you from Jibs, their vision is reach highest quality of life through the achievement of personal and vocational potential. So you might want to refer, as we go on, to the Jibs Human Services Mission, Vision, and Value statement that I've included in your syllabus materials. Now we're ready to move on to the mission statement. Unlike vision, which is written in the future tense, mission statement is written in the present tense. It precisely defines and describes the fundamental purpose of an organization, that is, why it exists and what it does to achieve its vision. It answers the questions: who are we? What needs are we addressing? What do we do? So go back to my example in the vision statement, the one that said the vision was a world without poverty. Their mission then became, we provide jobs for the homeless and the unemployed. In the Jibs mission, vision, and value statement that you have, their mission statement reads that it provides a broad range of programs that create innovation and sustainable solutions to address current and future community needs. So now we've looked at vision and we've looked at mission, and we are now ready to look at value statements. These are frequently called guiding principles or core principles, and they are traits or qualities that are considered worthwhile. They are beliefs that are shared among the many stakeholders, both internally and externally. These values drive an organization's culture and priorities and provide a framework in which decisions are made. An example of a value, and this may be familiar to some of you: give a man bread and feed him for a day, teach him to farm or teach him to fish, and feed him for life. This example then sets the priority for that organization of self-sufficiency rather than shelter. In the Jibs mission, vision, and values statement, they have 5 values, and they frequently refer to them as their core principles, and they are on visible boards throughout the organization and on tent cards that they use in meetings. Their 5 are commitment to excellence, quality customer service, integrity, leadership at all levels, and collaboration. And I was very much a part of helping them establish this several years ago. And we went through an extensive process from senior leaders down through middle managers and staff in order to gain agreement that these were the values that the stakeholders, the internal stakeholders, shared. These 5 Jibs statements are declarations about how the organization will value their customers, their suppliers, and their internal community. They describe actions that are the living enactment of the fundamental values held by most individuals within the organization, melded together and enacted by senior leaders, and that's the key. They have to be enacted, or as I said in an earlier discussion, walk the talk. They form the organization's culture. So this was a very brief lecture, unlike my wordy last few. Use this to help you move forward in your assignments for sessions 4 and 5.